What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, look, we all know I'm getting excited about the Gundam Card Game. I have been extremely clear about the fact that I'm getting very excited about the Gundam Card Game, so, you know what? I thought we'd have a look at how to play it. We know the rules. Now, we don't know everything. There are some picky, annoying questions we don't have. There is not a comprehensive rules document, etc. What we do have is a very incomplete explanation on the website and a very short 2-turn playthrough that was published on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure if you mash them together, and I have, we can figure out how the game works. So first of all, win conditions, nice and easy. Either you deal damage to your opponent when they've got no cards in the shield area, or they have no cards in deck. The whole shield area thing is very, very simple. It is like we've seen in a bunch of Bandai card games, One Piece and the such. Essentially, what happens is when you attack, your opponent might have a base, more on them in a minute. But if they don't, you take out one of their shields. When you've taken out all of their shields, they have an unprotected, well, I don't know what to call it, base themselves. I'm not exactly sure. But the point is, when you attack into the shields, when there are no shields, you win the game. You attack your opponent, apparently, is what it says on the website. Or just decking out, which is, again, a standard TCG thing. Now, in terms of cards, there are 4 kinds of cards. Firstly, we've got unit cards. These are your standard. You play them down and you use them to fight. Nice and simple. We also have pilot cards, which get paired with unit cards, and essentially you play them underneath the unit, and they give a boost to AP, which is your power, and a boost to HP, which is obviously, you know, your health. And they might give another skill as well. But here's where it gets really interesting and one of my favourite things about the game so far. We have pairs of units and pilots. So any pilot, it seems, can go with any unit to give it a little bit of a boost. But let's take, for instance, Wing Gundam and Hero Yui. Now, I don't know who that is. I've not watched Gundam, I'm sorry. But I'm assuming they're like a pair. They work together. They are bros or whatever. And essentially here, you can actually link the pilot and the unit together. And that's important because firstly, it might give you an extra bonus. So if we use this pair of cards for the minute, you can see that it gets AP +1 and HP +1 while linked. How do you link? Well, you need to meet the link requirements. So if we go and have a quick look at Wing Gundam here, you can see the link requirement. The link requirement is Hero Yui, or however it's pronounced. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it badly. My point is, if you match the right pilot with the right unit, they are what's called linked, and that might give you extra skills as we see here. It also lets you attack on the turn you deploy. That is very important. Think of it like Rush in One Piece, for instance, or a million other card games. Generally, you cannot attack with a unit the turn you play it. However, if you link it with the correct pilot, or whatever other link conditions there might be in the future, if you fulfill the link conditions, then it becomes a linked unit and it can attack on the turn it's deployed, which I love the level of strategy that gives. Looks like you can just pilot any unit with any pilot, but you get a bonus if you do it properly, and that makes me very, very happy. I love that they've taken the time to do this. We have command cards. These are basically like event cards or action cards, or they're called a million different things in a million different card games. What's important here, however, is, you know, we might have a command card like, for instance, The Witch and the Bride, which is just, you know, choose an enemy unit with 5 or less HP, return it to its owner's hand. Or you might get one which is also a pilot. Sometimes command cards can be pilots as well, which is awesome. And then we've got base cards. We've got a nice little example here of a base card. Would be Antikythera School of Technology Earth House. And these are basically played to protect your shields. So here you don't have any AP, why would you? You're a base. But you do have a HP of 5, and essentially when your opponent attacks you, first they've got to take down the base. When there's no base, they have to take down the shields. Then when there's no shields, they attack you and win the game. So you can play base cards in front of your shields to give you that level of protection. Although it is worth noting we have already seen a card with blocker, so you can have blockers, and then when they get through the blocker, they have to go through the base, and when they get through the base, they can take out the shields, and then when they take out the shields, they can attack you to win the game. Lots of protection if you build your deck in the right way here. Although it is important to note you can only have one base at a time. You cannot stack bases to make the game go on forever. That would be silly. Now, in terms of deck building rules, nice and simple. Exactly 50 cards means you cannot build a bigger deck to stop you decking out. You can only use 2 types of colours max. 1 or 2 colours, that's the max. And you can have 4 of each card number, which is very, very important. It means, of course, that if there are multiple cards with the same name, and let's face it, the most popular pilots and Gundam, etc., are obviously going to get multiple, then you can play multiple of them, but only 4 of each individual number, which, of course, I think is pretty gosh darned important. Now, in terms of playing a card, this is the other thing which I really, really, really like about Gundam. Let's take Wing Gundam again as a nice little example. Wing Gundam, you may notice, has a cost and a level. It's a cost 4, but it's a level 6. Very good card, it looks like. Genuinely looks busted, but we've not seen enough cards to know for certain, but it certainly looks great. It can target level 4 or lower active units, and it's got breach 5, so when you destroy an enemy unit, you can deal 5 to a shield, or base if there's a base there. Seems really, really good. Now, it's only a 4 cost, but in terms of playing it, you have to have 6 resources on the board. You have to have resources up to your level. So you need to have 6 resources out. You only need to exhaust 4 of them to play it. But even if you've got 4 resources, you can only play Wing Gundam if you've got 2 extra. The level is the total number you need to have in order to be allowed to play it. And then the cost is how many you have to rest or exhaust in order to actually play it. Which I think is kind of awesome, honestly. Now, in terms of the turn progression, we start off with your start phase. Rested card gets set to active. Then your draw phase, you draw a card. And then your resource phase, whereby you add 1 resource from your resource deck to your resource area. They've basically copied the Don system from One Piece, but you only get 1 a turn rather than 2. I think this is brilliant. You're not going to run dry of resources. You are going to have 1 per turn, and I love it. As an extra, as a sorry you went second, the player who goes second gets what's known as an EX resource, which is an extra resource, but once you use it to pay the cost of a card, it goes away, it's gone forever, it gets discarded. So on turn 5, you'll actually have 6 resources down. Here's the thing though, you actually end up able to play cards a turn earlier than normal because your level is 1 higher than it should be because of the EX resource. But once you play the EX resource, once you use it to play a card, it goes away and you actually go down a level in terms of the cards you're allowed to play. Seriously, the pilot system, the resource system, the EX resource, these are things, you know, the whole level and cost. These make me think the mechanics of this game are going to work beautifully. Then we got the main phase where you play cards, activate abilities, and attack. And usual thing here, you can either attack the opponent, which is base, then shield, then opponent, then you win the game. Or you can attack a rested unit, but not an active unit. And like I say, when you play a card, you cannot attack with it this turn, unless you turn it into a link unit by fulfilling the requirements, at which point you then are allowed to attack this turn. Also important to note, you're only allowed 6 units on the board. We don't know what happens when you've got 6 out. Now, if it's like One Piece, and this is my guess, though I don't know for certain, if it's like One Piece, then you can just play as many cards as you like and you just have to replace a unit that's already on the board. But remember with Pokemon, once your bench is full, you are bench locked and you're not allowed to play any other cards. So we do need an answer to that, and I don't think the answer has yet been published. It says on the website up to 6 units may be deployed, but it doesn't say what happens when you try and play a 7th, and I don't think they address this in the little 2-turn playthrough on the YouTube channel either. This is a question we'll have to have answered as we go along. You then have the end phase, and round we go, until somebody runs out of shields and ends up losing the game. Here's a little bit of a look at the play area as a whole, and you may notice under base there it says play an EX base here at the start of the game, no more than 1 base is allowed, a new base may be deployed after the previously destroyed base is placed in the trash. So we do know for certain that with bases you have to wait. Once 1 base is down, you cannot replace it with a better base, you have to wait. But you'll notice in the battle area, it just says no more than 6 units. It doesn't say what happens when you try and play a 7th. Although it does confirm, and this should be obvious, but let's say it anyway, only 1 pilot per unit. You cannot have multiple pilots in a unit. That would be silly. Just wouldn't work. Now, the only other thing I need to tell you about here is when you are attacking units, essentially, they deal damage simultaneously. So, if we have an example that they showed on the YouTube, for instance, you've got Wing Gundam with Hero Yoi that ends up being a 7/7, because remember you get the extra +1 because it's linked with the right pilot, going up against Gelgoog who's a 4/3, so Wing Gundam takes 4, but it's got 7, you're fine, and it deals 7, so Gelgoog goes and gets discarded, and he gone, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, he gone. There are still some questions remaining. We don't have a comprehensive rules or any of that. What I've shown you here is what we've gotten from the information that's been published so far. It gives you a good idea of how the game is going to go. And like I've said, there are several mechanics here that make me really excited for this game. I wasn't that hyped when I started hearing rumors about a Gundam TCG. Now that I've seen the basic rules and the cards and all, I've got to tell you, I'm getting kind of hyped. But I've told you what I know for now, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this game in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about, Gundam and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.